Dream Team 718, welcome, welcome. We have now we're in our first week. We're still in our first week.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Um, we did a reflection video on 2020. We talked about the whole new year, new me wave that's gonna be coming, right? And it made me think about the people that start this whole trend. Like Gary, you and I, we've worked at the gym before. We've seen where they start strong. This doesn't apply to everybody, but there's some that start strong, and then as the year go along, they start to wane, and then they don't, then we don't see them for the rest of the year, right? And it's not just with gyms. You have people that start, they have the mindset like, you know what, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna create new habits. I'm gonna attack a new goal. I'm gonna attempt this or attempt that, and they tend to like try to, and they focus so much on the big picture sometimes that they tend to lose sight over time, and they start to wane and they start to fall off, and then there's some, because of this, they fall into depression, or um, some people call it just sadness, melancholy, right? So I just want us to talk, just talk briefly. What were some of our experiences? What we saw, how we were able to overcome it, or if we weren't able to overcome it yet, what are the steps we are trying, starting to take to get to our goals. All right. As usual, I'm gonna go first. I remember last year, I started. The first thing I said, I think, the end of 2018, I was like, oh, 2019, I'm gonna start a podcast. I'm gonna, I had I had this big plan, and January came around. I didn't do anything, right? Because I got so caught up in the, oh, I have to buy a mic. Oh, I have to get a camcorder. I have to get all these editing uh, uh, applications and stuff like that. And the more I thought about it, the more I started to feel overwhelmed. And January passed, February passed, March passed, and then I realized it's been 6 to 8 months and I have not done anything. Right. And of course, last year, the whole thing with COVID, when it started, it was like, oh, if you have not birthed a new entrepreneurial business, you're not a hustler. I'm like, wait, bro, I got 3 kids. Like, you know,
I got like a
you
whole
know,
family.
it's kind of hard,
I got like a whole family.
and as inspiring as those phrases were, I know for some it could have been like it made you self-reflect and feel like you were a failure because you didn't birth a new business. You didn't birth a new book. You didn't birth all these new endeavors. When sometimes just surviving 2020 was good enough. You know, we're here. We're still here. You still able to face another day and start anew. Uh, but I know at one point I was a little depressed because I started to get in my head, and I was like, oh man, how am I gonna call myself an entrepreneur and I have a business? I'm not doing anything right now. You know, how can I even say that I have a business? I'm not doing anything. And I remember I attended church one day, and my pastor was talking about the same thing, and I'm like, yo, bro, like, I'm like, yo, you did you bug my phone? Like you listening to what I'm talking about? What's going on, man? Why are you talking about this now? You know, because at the same time, I was still going through it in my head. You know, I, you know, it's so funny. I keep telling people like, don't ever let someone live rent free in your right.
Mm.
And I'm like, this emotion was living rent free.
Mm.
You know, and I was the one that was experiencing all of the negative effects of it. But you know, it didn't have to pay rent. It was just chilling. You know, I didn't put it to task. And my pastor was talking about it, and he brought up the whole, oh, they say that if you didn't birth a new ministry, didn't do this, I'll give a fail. But he's like, you know what? You still able. You got up this morning, right? You some of you went to work. You're living, right? And it's not until I started focusing on the smaller goals, right? So I'm like, okay, uh, I'm gonna check in with you guys every week. I started with that, right? And to me, that was a small, as some insurmountable as it was for us for some weeks. Being able to focus on that one goal and get just being able to check it off. Hey, I checked in with the guys this week. Everybody's good. I was able to feel better, but feel better about myself. I started to feel proud about being able. I accomplished that goal, right? And then it's not until I think Benjamin and I, Benjamin and I have some weird conversations sometimes. You know, like Benjamin is my ultimate sounding board. I just literally just call him and just throw ideas out, and he be like, "What you gonna do?" There's just I'm like, "Oh, you know what? He's right." So he and I were talking one day, and I was like, "You know what? Wait a minute. I can use Zoom. I can literally just record on Zoom. I don't need to get all this stuff. I can just do it right here and just start. At least start." And I started, and here we are. you know, we're checking in every week. We're recording, we're putting content out there, and you know, we are reaching people. There are people that are hearing what we're saying and it's blessing them. And to me, that's great. And for me, to look back a year in hindsight to see where we are now, I'm completely floored, man. Like I think we have surpassed what we thought we would have been doing. And for me, it was, of course, surrounding myself with you guys and just looking at accomplishing these small goals on a regular basis and just build from there. And here it is. I did a website by myself. We're doing a Zoom. I'm editing, bro. I literally went and I just went. I'm gonna put it out. I went on YouTube and looked up how to edit on iMovie because I didn't know one thing about iMovie. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
I focused on that goal, and I remember a whole month. Every time we checked in, I was like, "Yo, man, I'm just on YouTube." And I'm able to put this out just from starting with one goal and sticking to that. And then once I got into a rhythm with that, I started another one. And then I just keep adding and keep adding and keep adding. And, I'm just going to keep doing it, man. See where it takes me,
Yeah.
you know? So that was my goal. That's my journey during 2020 with overcoming a moment of depression.
Mm.
You know, because I know when with depression, it just doesn't affect you; it affects everyone that's around you. So it's great to have you guys supporting because I'm like you guys know I'm not on it every week, you know. But even through that, you guys have been there supporting me and just like just it's just a you know the ultimate no judgment zone, right? And it's great. So to be able to have that and still be able to just attack my goals and and just work at being consistent, it's been great. And I think that's what got me here. So what about you, Gary? What was your experience?
You know, for me, having bouts of depression has been, I've encountered it a few times in my life, and I think one of the challenges with it is it's like a spectrum, right? So it affects everybody. I say this like no one, I don't think anyone is exempt from experiencing it. It's just what is going to be the cocktail of ingredients that's going to spark it for you. Um, so it could, for some people, it could be a relationship breakup, the loss of a job, unfulfilled dream. Like the list can goes on and on. I found one of the biggest things that has helped me in those times has been just continuing to be grounded in my faith. As a
Yes, yes,
like
yes.
being grounded in my faith is I can't overstate it because the thing about the faith, the Christian faith is unlike what we hear in like media, like it's not about how good you are. It's not about how much you can achieve, that you're loved anyway. And I think sometimes we feel unloved and we feel like failures because the world is constantly telling us if you don't like do this or do this, if you don't do this by 28, you're a loser. Because it's this kid who just started a website on he has a channel on YouTube and he has 8 million subscribers. You're such a loser. And you're constantly being inundated with this information. So I think being rooted in my faith is a big part of, has always been a big part of how God do it because it gives me an opportunity it reminds me that God sees me way better than I sometimes see myself.
Definitely,
Like
definitely.
way better than I look at myself. Like I'm super critical and and I've been in those places just like you, Ron, where you like, man, like here's the big picture. Like you guys know, like I get excited about the big picture. And it becomes very inspirational. And I think something I've struggled with that I had to overcome is like one small step. Like do one thing. And as you guys know, with 2020, I was able to like end the year with a W with the certification, and everything. And I think you just need one W. You need one win, and it starts to snowball. We were talking about this offline before we jumped on about the cookie jar that we talked about with David Goggins. And sometimes we got to remind ourselves like you've overcome worse. You've
Yeah.
overcome like you have a track record of getting through it. Like when you're not feeling like resilient, sometimes you got to remember the times where you were resilient.
You
I
know,
think sometimes hard.
it's interesting, Gary, because you remember when we when I first birthed this idea
Mhm.
back in I think it was 2018, right? And every day we saw each other, like I had a new idea, like I can do this, and it was just like I was just, but all I had was ideas, but I didn't have the steps to accomplish these things yet, and I think when it came to implementing, that's where I realized, oh, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, and I didn't even research how to accomplish this one thing to even get started, you
Yeah.
know, and like so because of that, like it was like a full stop, not even like a break. Like I can break an emergency break at the same time. Like I wasn't going anywhere. Like I was just like, yeah. And it's like, okay,
Screeching halt.
yeah, I got to start over. You know, so
That's
that
that's that's a big part of it. A lot of times, ideation is great, especially idea generation brings is great things, right? And that's a gift to have ideation and envision. But then you also have to have people around you or start to develop execution and detailed planning, right? Being able to like, okay, this is the to have the like Stephen Covey talks about, like starting with the end in mind, right? So knowing where you want to end up, that's great, like because then you can now tailor your steps towards that goal compared to like just kind of whimsically walking, right? Which sometimes we do because we don't really know where we're going.
yeah,
So
man.
but it's good to have people around you. So I would say for me, definitely staying rooted in my faith and being with you guys and not being by yourself. Because I know for me, the default setting when you are in those lows and you're feeling not like your best self is to disconnect with people until you get better. But a lot of times you don't start to see any headway because you are by yourself and the only voice you're listening to is your own. And it's not the best. You need people around you to remind you that like it's okay.
Yeah,
Not always gonna be like this, and sometimes we don't remind ourselves of it. And then also sometimes you need to seek professional help. So I'm all for seeing someone, whether it's virtually or in person.
yeah, yes, because you know, as a community, we love to self-diagnose, right?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
but I think as invested in mental health as we are as a group, right? I think it would be definitely be prudent for us to just let people know, listen, there are professionals out there, and if you need help, just ask for help and seek help. Don't self-diagnose. Don't not just self-diagnose. Don't try to self-treat. You know. So as like you said, we aren't the professionals, right? But we understand the importance of good mental health and self-care. And sometimes self-care may mean seeking outside help. So I'm glad you said that, man. That's very important.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.